Good evening. I'm Peter Haslund. Welcome to Global Dialogue, a program dedicated to exploring critical global issues and what we at a local level can do about it, think about it, learn about it. My two guests this evening are international students. Daniel Bernal is from Colombia and Linnea Ohlsson is from Sweden. And I want to welcome you both. And our point tonight is to try to understand what's it like to be an international student? What happens to you when you sort of get off the boat and come? What was the first thing you remember when you?
Well, I came here and I was very confused because I didn't find an apartment yet. So I kind of had to try to stay at a hotel for a week, and it was just all about just getting settled. But once all that was done, I just loved it.
Well, you love it, but was there anything surprising to you as a consequence of
Well,
coming?
it's very different compared to Sweden.
How's it different?
Just sort of the way people do things and the way people think about things, different values, different culture, totally just not just talking about food or film, but just politics and stuff like that too. So
it's more so the case in Sweden that you can talk about politics, and here you talk about food, or is it the reverse?
No. I don't know, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but I would say that I talk more about politics here.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how are the values different?
Well, it's just sort of, in Sweden it's very, it's like very social, liberal, and here it's, I mean, of course you have the Democrats and the Republicans, but you can't even like compare how social Swedish is compared to the Democrats here. So it's just very different if you look at that. But I think you just like value, it's more direct here. It's more of a direct culture, and very, very social. You talk to people on the bus, just stuff like that. Sweden is more, it's not as direct, I would say.
So if I took a bus in Stockholm, would I open up a conversation with somebody, or would they talk to me?
You could, but well, what surprised me when I came here was people would start talking to me on the bus, and I would just kind of be like, oh, what are you doing? I would be kind of frightened, but now I love it. I think it's very, very nice, and it's a nice change from Sweden. When I went back this winter break, that's kind of what I missed of being here in the US. I was just like, what is this? People are not as social and open, and maybe that's just me being in my honeymoon phase still here in the US. I don't know, but
maybe.
I really like it here.
And Daniel, how long have you been here?
I've been here for 3.5 years now.
3.5 years.
Yes.
Well, same question. What struck you as odd about this country?
Well, at first, I think that before coming, there was a lot of expectations built up and a lot of things that I had on my mind that I thought I was going to go through it or that I was going to experience. So I think the first culture shock that I had was just seeing that those expectations did not follow through. And whatever I thought I was going to live was completely different. And I come from Colombia, which is a very Catholic country, family-oriented. So we have really strict and conservative values that, you can be applied here, but are completely different. So I feel like at first that was really hard just to adjust in myself in the new society and the new environment that I was in, just making new friends and just kind of figuring it out how I could have a balance between my own culture, but at the same time being able to have a good time here and just being able to adapt.
Give me an example of how the cultures are different.
First of all, I'm from an island, so it's a really small place, and just the pace of life is really slow. You always have time to do everything because everything's so close. You're never in a rush. You walk slow on the street. Everyone knows everyone. And when I came here, I thought Santa Barbara was real, like, fast-paced. And my friends from here tell me, no, not at all. Like, Santa Barbara is really calm compared to other big cities. So that was like a huge shock for me.
Yeah. Santa Barbara is not New York, or Los Angeles for that matter. So what do you study?
I study political science.
Yeah, and Linnea, what do you?
I study international relations,
Uh-huh.
but I do want to go into politics as well. But I like working with global issues and global problems.
Yeah. Do you both want to go into politics? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow.
more international politics than not local.
Okay. So tell me what attracts you about the world of politics?
I just think it's very important when we live in such an interconnected world to working on these global issues because they've been becoming more apparent on the late years. I don't know, I just think it's very, very important to solve global issues, and to be able to do that we need to work with international politics. That's why I'm very interested in the UN and what they do in their programs. So yeah, I just
Now, the UN has, maybe it's an unfair rap, but is often characterized in the American press as basically ineffectual.
Yeah, it is, and I can agree with that to some extent. But also I think it's the one organization that actually has that many countries working together and has an arena for problem solving. But it does have many flaws, but it's also an organization with many opportunities. And we have seen some success with the UN also in their program with genocides. And I mean, it's just so many issues they're working on. So I definitely think it's a great organization.
What aspect of politics do you, or level, if you will, of politics do you think of working in?
Well, growing up, I grew up in a family where politics was really big. So growing up, my dream was always just to become the mayor of my island, and that's what I was working towards. But I'm really interested in international politics. I've been involved with the model of the United Nations since I was younger. So that really helped me just to open my eyes and just realize how politics affect everyday lives and how everything has a connection. And that's what really attracted me to politics.
Well, you were telling me that you're part of the Model UN here.
Yes.
What attracts you about the Model UN? Tell me a little more about that.
Well, growing up, I was shy, and then the first time I was able to go to a conference, I don't know, I became a totally different person. I was able to put everything away, and they give you the chance to be a diplomat from a different country, and you have to stay true to whatever they're doing, but you have to put your input and just be out there, and that really was an enjoyable experience for me. And I've been doing it ever since, and just to be able to do it at college level was a really great experience.
Isn't it hard? I mean, if you're going to be an ambassador from another country, another culture, not America, not Colombia, isn't that hard?
It is really hard because you have to put away your personal beliefs. In a way, you're putting on a show, but you know, it's a show where you have to learn, you have to adapt and put yourself in the role that if I'm representing this country, I have to believe that on this day I'm from this country and I'm gonna just present exactly what I have to, and I need to deliver what I have to deliver. So in a way, it's fun because you're able to just see sometimes how biased you are or how not biased you are. So it's a great eye-opening experience.
Now, Linnea, you were telling me that you're going to be interested in becoming a part of the diplomatic corps on a global scale.
Yeah.
And so something of what Daniel is saying is going to apply to you as well. You're going to have to suspend your own structure of values in order to... Can you imagine that that's going to be...
Yeah, I'm actually taking that class right now.
Oh, you are?
The Model United Nations class. So I just had one class now, but it's definitely going to be a challenge. But I'm really glad I'm taking the class because it's, as Daniel said, you have to put yourself in the shoes of another person and kind of just put away all your values and just... I think it's going to be really good for me. But yeah.
Well, the Model UN has been around for a long, long time. I was a delegate in 1959, I think, to a Model UN conference. And I really thought I was, you know, I can tell that to you and you'll think, well, that's a long time. Then I met somebody who said, you know, I was a delegate too, I was a delegate to the Model League of Nations. so it's really been around for a long time as a teaching vehicle. Looking at the global scale, what occurs to you as the most significant of issues that you think we really ought to focus on
Right now.
right now?
Well, actually, I've been really interested in Libya right now. There's a really critic situation going on, and I have a lot of friends that are from Libya, and what I understand is that there's not that many information coming out to people from the country who are out, or even the people who are inside the country. Press and media are oppressed, and there's two different governments, and I feel that's an issue it's a time bomb, and any second it can explode, and that'll affect the whole North Africa area, and there's a lot of oil and a lot of resources. So,
You assume for a moment that you've just been appointed Secretary General of an international organization responsible for bringing peace to Libya. What action do you contemplate?
well, I feel like first of all would be just getting a lot of information, just making sure I'm able to get a hold of all the top representatives of each country, and just get with my committee and my people and see what we can do. But I believe in dialogue, and I believe in just figuring things out. But at this level of politics, I feel like the real world is completely different to what you maybe have experienced in a model conference or how they do it in the actual UN. But I think just seeing the different perspectives and just trying to come out with a immediate action, and then just take out a plan and see what happens.
So Libya.
Libya.
All right, Linnea, your turn. What strikes you as the critical issue of our time?
Well, ISIS, I would say.
ISIS.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with the devastating incident that happened in France about a week ago, I just think it's a very critical situation, and I think that's the most pressing problem right now. I don't have a clue how it's going to be solved, but I think it's very important because it's so much frustration towards the West right now that these things just keep happening, and we don't know what's going to happen next. And it's also, I wouldn't say, because we have a freedom of speech. So like this French newspaper, what they did, this painting, they should be able to do that, but we need to find a way where these things are not going to happen, and because otherwise I don't know where we're going to end up.
Well, think about that. I mean, if you were not the Secretary General, but maybe his advisor. No, never mind. You be her advisor. How do you see, let's say, the leadership of ISIS? What are they looking at?
Well, I think they're just kind of, I wouldn't say they're threatened, but they want people to respect them, and I think they want to take back the order the way they think it should be.
And what happens if the rest of the world feels differently? Let's take the critical issue sometimes is identified as the world of Sharia as it applies to women, as differentiated from men.
Yeah.
Now, is there a way to bridge this gap?
I think that's very interesting. I actually think that the solution to our global problems today is to bring women into peace and conflict resolution and let them be part of the political arena, because I think that's where we need to start, and that's where, if we would do that, those political leaders or leaders of ISIS or other organizations, I don't know, I think it would take out the playing field a little bit. But yeah.
Okay, so as now that you've both been here in the United States for some time, and you have both acknowledged that the value structure in your country, in your home country, is different than they are here. What values would you think about taking back with you?
Mm. Well, definitely the openness and the positivity. I think people are very positive here and just kind of happy.
Yeah.
I would definitely take that back home, and just opportunities. In the US, it's very much about independence and opportunity and just reaching for your goals. And I value that a lot as well. So I would definitely take that back and just sort of just going to City College. I've met wonderful professors and that taught me that you can reach your dreams and you can do what you want. So definitely would take that back.
And Daniel, what?
I would take two. I would take, first of all, punctuality, just because Colombians are never on time, and it's just
Punctuality.
Punctuality, yes, that would be number one. I
Okay.
love how Americans are always on time, and it's it's valuable and you need it and it's appreciated. And then I would just take tolerance. I feel like just the fact that it's such a melting pot of different cultures, it gives you the opportunity to work on your tolerance. And Colombia is a small country, and although there's not that much diversity, tolerance is maybe not one of our fortes.
So from your experience, Americans have been tolerant.
Yeah, they really have, or open and respectful to different things, or that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you bring from Colombia? What would you think that Americans should be thinking about in terms of adopting viewpoints or
I don't know if it's the right word, but I feel like Colombians are really resourceful. There's never a limiting circumstance. We're always ready to go, and the whole attitude is just to keep going and working no matter what. And although Americans have it too, but Colombians is just like this passion. We said that Colombian is passion. So just this passion to do things, and that's what really drives you.
And from Sweden?
I don't really know. That's a hard question, but I would say people are really good at getting things done in Sweden. I don't really know.
But in terms of efficiency?
Yeah, in terms of efficiency and just actually, there's one thing I would take away from Sweden. So here, it's when you talk to someone, you kind of always says like, oh, let's do something soon, or let's meet up, or I'll text you later. But in Sweden, it's if you say you're gonna meet up with someone, you'll meet up with that person. So just kind of that confirmation. Yeah, I think that's
sometimes. I mean, in my experience, I spent a lot of time in China, and sometimes the Chinese have two feelings about us. The first is that we're very friendly. We're immediately friendly. And the other part is that the friendship is gone once the meeting is over. Is that similar to what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's
Kind of, yeah.
A form of superficiality?
It's kind of on the surface. And I would actually say that here I have a lot of friends like on the surface. I have a few like really good friends, but back in Sweden I have more friends that are like really good friends, and I don't have that many friends that are just kind of like on the surface.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now, tell me about your experience at City College, the courses that you've taken, the people that you've met. What has inspired you?
Well, actually, it was when I took my first global studies class with Andrea Haupt that I really, really understood what it was that I wanted to do, and that I wanted to work with global studies, and I really found the right major. And then I've met several other really good teachers and professors as well. I think it's just, well, first of all, my English is getting better since I first came here, and I'm really glad about that. And I think just studying here in the US, it just makes you more motivated, because I'm paying a lot of money to be here. And I feel like the teachers are really on your side, and they want you to succeed. So I'm really thankful about that, and a lot of professors actually really helped me to succeed here.
Good. Daniel, what do you think?
Well, I really enjoyed this school. We have great teachers, and I've been lucky to take really really great classes that are related to my major. But what I really like is just the fact that you're in one classroom and you have people from like different 20 countries, and it's just such a different experience that I mean, I didn't have it in Colombia, and the fact that you have it here just really opens your mind and you see things differently. That's what I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity.
Diversity.
Yeah. Will you go back to Colombia
Just for vacation.
for vacation? You are now an American citizen.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. In Colombia, do they permit you to have dual citizenship?
Yeah, they do. Dual
Yeah.
citizenship.
So you have citizenship in both countries?
Both countries,
Okay.
yes.
So you didn't have to surrender your citizenship in Colombia?
No, I
in order
didn't. Yeah, you're only allowed to have up to two.
Up to two?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And Linnea, do you want to contemplate becoming an American? Or?
I mean, after I finish my education, I have 2.5 years left of my undergraduate degree, and I get 1 year work visa. So I'll definitely try to get a job and maybe get an internship next year when I transfer. And then we'll see what happens. But I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities here, and especially for considering what I want to work with. But I would love to be in Europe too, or just Brussels, or yeah.
So in your experience, you've now acquired a perspective that American students don't have, namely coming to this country from a different place and looking at us. What would you want to say to American students that might help them have a different perspective on global affairs? Is there a message that you'd want to impart to the American student?
I would say just first of all, appreciate the great school system you have here, because compared to other countries, it's really, really good. And the fact that you can come to class and be open about your ideas and not be afraid that whatever you're saying might affect you later on in life. So being able to just be free and be open and say exactly what you have on your mind, I think it's great. And also just regarding international relations, just maybe it's not a hot topic per se for students. They're not interested, but it's really valuable, and I think it's really important. When I started making connections with politics in my daily life was the day that I really got into it. When I saw why the gas prices were up, why we couldn't find this fruit on the island, or why we couldn't do this stuff, I saw how everything is interconnected and how looking at the big picture helps you just live your daily life. So I think making those connections at this age is really beneficial.
Yeah.
And what prompted you to do that when others clearly don't?
I feel like at this era, or age, we don't really watch the news, but the news are fun. I mean, I think it's great just to see what's going on and go onto different websites and just look at different opinions. I think it's fun just to see how biased some newspapers are, and you got to look at the other hand, and they're completely opposite. And so, creating your own idea and creating your own values on news, and seeing how your own experience allows you to identify what information seems correct and which does not.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Do you have a...
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Daniel. And I also think it's very interesting how when you get engaged in the news and what's going on, you understand why things are happening and why people think the way they do about different things and why things have happened in the past. Just how things are connected, because you read about, you have history in school, your general education, everything. I'm taking a history class right now, and you just really start to understand why things are happening right now. That you may be reading about in school that happened hundreds of years ago. And I think making that connection is very important to be able to enjoy your education.
And what do you think prompts, and either of you can respond to this, what prompts that mode of thinking? Well, I mean, my meeting with many American students would not elicit the same response. Like the world news is, well, it's all the same, and I don't know about stuff, and I don't care about stuff. That's not universally true, but it is the case that many American students are not engaged to the extent that you two appear to be engaged. Help me understand why.
Maybe they haven't traveled abroad. I feel like that's the first answer. Once you get out of your country, you go to another place, you realize that I'm just not a citizen of Colombia, I'm a citizen of the world, you know. We're all in this place, everything's interconnected. No matter where you go or where you are, we're part of this big system, this big unity that we all need to do something and work towards, you know, achieving all of our goals. So I feel like maybe that's a problem for American students, the fact that they're not being able to go out. So, you know, if I was in Colombia, that would be me, the same, you know. I didn't have the opportunity to see different people, to listen to different ideas, so none of that would have happened.
So travel.
Yeah, just understanding that what I do is going to affect other people as well. I think that's what I've really been kind of grasping lately, that everything is connected, as Daniel said, and what Americans do here, it might be drive cars or whatever it may be, it's affecting everyone. And so are global issues. That's why they're global issues. And once you start understanding that, it's just becomes more clear.
But yeah, traveling.
Traveling, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Open up your mind.
When I was directing our study abroad programs in China, one of the really remarkable things that occurred to me once our students came back was a sense of gratitude about being an American.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be home. I'm so glad to be living in this country. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have you two here, and for you to share with us your feelings, your appreciation of what this country is all about, your observations about life here. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's session for Global Dialogue. I'm Peter Haslund. Good night. Good. Wonderful.
I think that was fun.
Yeah.
That goes very fast.